You should receive that invitation to join us as a panelist for item number 4. Item number 5, Susie Santilina. Susie, let's see, there you are. Raise hand. Susie, good morning to you. You should receive that invitation to join us as a panelist for item number 5. For all Bureau representatives, thank you for joining us this morning. Should the board have any questions for you, we will go ahead and open up those audio lines for you at that time. Again, this is for Bureau representatives, Clinton, Gabriel, Brett, Nakia, and Ryan Tolles. Good morning to all of you again, and we will open up the audio lines should the board have any questions for you at that time. At this time, we are going to go ahead and ask for any members of the general public that would like to provide general public comment or commentary on any of the items to raise your hand at this time by pressing *9. Or if you're joining us through the Zoom application, you can raise your hand by clicking the raise hand icon located towards the lower right-hand side of your screen. Again, this is for members of the general public that would like to provide general public comment or commentary on any of the items for today's agenda. If you can please raise your hand at this time by pressing *9 or raise your hand through the Zoom application. We have one person that has raised their hand, Dr. Tom Williams. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Which item?
Good morning. I'd like to speak on public comments and item 5.
Perfect. We will go ahead and add you to the queue for those.
Thank you.
We should get started in about 30 seconds. Thank you, Dr. Williams. Last call for any callers on the line that would like to provide general public comment or commentary on any of the items for today's agenda. If you can please raise your hand at this time by pressing *9 or clicking the raise hand icon. Seeing no other hands, let's go ahead and test the microphones and video cams for our commissioners. Commissioners, good morning to you all. If you can please turn on your video cams, I can go ahead and start highlighting you, spotlighting you for everyone on the line. And Commissioner Reyes, I see you first. I'm going to add you first to the spotlight. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Apologies for the delay. We're about 2 minutes behind schedule, but we will try to make up for some time. It's a relatively short agenda.
Good morning.
Good morning, VP Villegas. And Dr. Davis, I'm going to spotlight you next, but I am going to change your name on my end.
Thank you so much for that. Appreciate you. Good morning, everybody.
And President Garcia, good morning to
Thank you. Good morning, everyone.
And Commissioner Corzine, there you are. Good morning to you.
Morning.
Perfect. Loud and clear. All audio is working. All videos are working. President Garcia, we do have all presenters on the line, and we can get started as soon as I turn on the recording for you.
Great. Thank you.
President Garcia, you're now in record mode.
Great. Okay, everyone. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the regularly scheduled meeting for the Board of Public Works for Wednesday, October 19, 2022. Dr. Campos?
Good morning, everyone. Fernando Campos, Executive Officer, establishing roll call and quorum for today. We have President Garcia, President Garcia, Vice President Villegas, President Pro Tem Davis, Commissioner Corzine, and Commissioner Reyes. President Garcia, we do have a quorum at this time. Currently, we do not have any callers on the line for the Neighborhood Council comment section. We do have one caller on the line for general public comment. In addition to that, we do have one caller on the line for item number 5. Again, public comment and item number 5.
Sorry about that. We'll take public comment now.
Great. Dr. Tom Williams, if you can please unmute your microphone at this time. The Board of Public Works is considering general public comment. You'll have 2 minutes to speak under this segment. Please go ahead.
Good morning. I was wanting to, Dr. Tom Williams, Citizens Coalition for a Safe Community and Sierra Club. As part of Sierra Club, I am doing a lot of reverse osmosis reviews and comments, especially on Poseidon, which we were able to defeat, and on the Doheny project, which we were not able to defeat, but we're still watching it. We're also looking at Delta conveyance as being an alternative to reverse osmosis. So the real issues come down to how much does it cost and the water rights. And reuse water has rights. So we're quite concerned regarding the reuse through reverse osmosis of water, sewage. That is Hyperion flow, Glendale flows, such like that. It has been proven for over 50 years. And 50 years ago, I was helping on a Monterey Bay reclamation project where we used reverse osmosis, and we found no viruses after a year of monitoring for viruses. So it's a good process, reverse osmosis. It's not good for seawater because it's just too expensive, but for treated sewage, it is good and should be promoted throughout Los Angeles City and cooperate with the MWD. That's all.
Thank you, Dr. Williams. President Garcia, that clears the queue for general public comment.
Thank you. Public comments officially now closed. Moving on to the approval of the minutes for Friday, September 30th, 2022. Is there a second to my motion to move this item forward and forthwith?
I'll second that.
Thank you, VP Villegas. Dr. Campos, there's a first by me and a second by Vice President Villegas to move the approval of the minutes forward and forthwith.
Absolutely. We'll start the voting tabulation. We'll start with you, President Garcia,
Aye.
Vice President Villegas,
Aye.
President Pro Tem Davis,
Davis, aye.
Commissioner Corzine,
Aye.
and Commissioner Reyes.
Aye.
This motion is adopted and carries unanimous.
Great, thank you very much. Moving on to the first item on today's agenda. Yes, colleagues, we have a very short agenda today. So this is a rare for us, but good to have sometimes.
President Garcia,
yes.
Garcia, Fernando Campos, Executive Officer. For item number 1, the item has been continued to Wednesday,
That's right.
November 16, 2022, in as much as your board approved an extension, a motion on Wednesday, October 12th to extend this item or the bid opening to Wednesday, November 16, 2022.
Great. Any objections on the continuance of the bids? I don't have any objections either. We'll move forward, and item number 1 is now continued to November 16, 2022. Okay, moving on to item number 2 on today's agenda. This is in Council District 11. This is an AFE for Jordan Kaufman, KCCTC Payment Center. Bureau of Sanitation and the Office of Accounting are requesting board approval and execution of an authority for expenditure in the amount of $160,000 to encumber funds to pay property taxes as levied by the Kern County Treasurer Tax Collector for the period of July 1st, 2022 through June 30th, 2023. And this morning we have Mr. Tran here from the Bureau of Sanitation. Good morning, Mr. Tran.
Good morning, Madam President Garcia, Board Commissioners, Mr. Ted Jordan, and Dr. Campos. My name is Alan Tran with LA San. I'm here today for an AE, which is to request to encumber the fund to pay for the Green Acre Farm property tax. Green Acre Farm is the city-owned property in Kern County. We have been hauling the city biosolid to Green Acre Farm for land application. The request amount is $160,000, and this will cover from the July 1st, 2022 through June 30, 2023. The funding will come from the sewer construction, maintenance, and operation fund. Therefore, there is no impact on the general fund. And that's conclude my report.
Thank you, Mr. Tran. Any questions, colleagues? Seeing none. Mr. Tran, is this about the same amount we paid last year?
We paid last year $141,000.
Also went up just a little.
We project 5% increase and about 10% penalty for the late payment if we have to.
Got it. Okay, that makes sense. Understood. All right, I don't see any questions, any objections from the commissioners? No objections. Is there a motion on the table to move item number 2 forward and forthwith?
So move.
Thank you, Vice President, Commissioner Reyes. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Dr. Davis. Dr. Campos, there's a first by Commissioner Reyes and a second by Dr. Davis to move item number 2 forward and forthwith.
Absolutely. We'll start with the voting tabulation now. We'll start with you, President Garcia,
Aye.
Vice President Villegas,
Aye.
President Pro Tem Davis,
Aye.
Commissioner Corzine,
Aye.
and Commissioner Reyes.
Aye.
This motion is adopted and carries unanimous. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Tran.
Thank you
Commissioner
so
Gutierrez
much.
Bills. Have a good
Yes.
day. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to item number 3. This is also in Council District 11. This is an AFE for the Southern California Gas Company. The Bureau of Sanitation and the Office of Accounting are requesting board approval and execution of an authority for expenditure in the amount of $1,184,000 to encumber funds to pay for natural gas usage for building, heating, boilers, and Hyperion Bioenergy Facility operations at Hyperion Water Reclamation Plant for the period of July 1st, 2022 to June 30th of 2023. And who do we have here this morning? We have Mr.
Good morning.
Murillo. Good morning, and Ms. McIntosh. Good morning to you both.
Good morning.
Good morning, President Garcia, board members, and Dr. Campos. My name is Octavio Murillo, and I'm on this meeting this morning to request funds for fiscal year 22-23. The funds will come from the sewer construction and maintenance. It won't impact the general funds. The estimated amount is $1,184,000. That's to pay for building and heating, for where our employees work, for Hyperion plant boilers to provide steam to our digesters for our process, and for our bioenergy facility, which provides electricity and also steam for Hyperion in general. So the bioenergy facility operates to produce electricity for all of Hyperion, so that we don't have to pay DWP electricity. The gas use is coming from SoCal Gas. We pay them per volume used and as a transmission fee cost. Compared to last year's funds, we've increased this year's request by approximately an average of 3%. And that is it.
Okay, any questions for an item number 3? No questions? I'm not hearing any questions. So basically, this is to pay SoCal Gas our yearly bills, right, Mr. Murillo?
Yes, just like
Okay.
we do at home, just to pay
Okay.
them yearly natural gas bills for keeping our plant online, keeping our buildings warm.
Okay, got it, understood. Although 1 million is not what I would want to pay from home.
No,
But I know
definitely
the
not.
magnitude that we're dealing with here with Hyperion, so 1 million sounds about right.
There's a
Okay,
bigger
Mr.
home.
Yeah. Okay, Mr. Murillo, I don't have any questions, and I don't see any questions from our commissioners. Is there a motion on the table to move item number 3 forward and forthwith?
So moved.
Thank you, Dr. Davis. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Vice President Villegas. Dr. Campos, there's a first by Dr. Davis and a second by Vice President Villegas to move item number 3 forward and forthwith.
Absolutely. We'll start the voting tabulation now. We'll start with you, President Garcia,
Aye.
Vice President Villegas,
Aye.
President Pro Tem Davis,
Davis, aye.
Commissioner Corzine,
Aye.
and Commissioner Reyes.
Aye.
This motion is adopted and carries unanimous. Thank you.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Murillo and Ms. McIntosh, for
Thank you.
your
Take care.
report this morning. Have a good rest of the week.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to item number 2. This is also an AFE in Council District 1. This is a State Water Resources Control Board. The Bureau of Sanitation and the Office of Accounting are requesting board approval and execution of an authority for expenditure in the amount of $50,000 to encumber funds to pay for invoices for site cleanup recovery program costs from July 1st, 2021 through June 30th, 2022. And we have here Troy. How are you, sir? Good to see you. You're on mute. Troy Eze, Mr. Eze. I hope I'm saying it right.
Yes, you got it right. Good
Perfect.
morning, Commissioner. Good morning, Commissioners. So we are requesting for an encumbrance from the sewer operations and maintenance fund in the amount of 50,000 to pay for invoices for this upcoming fiscal year. So from July 1st, 2022 to June of 2023 for site cleanup recovery costs for the State Water Resources Control Board. The Northeast Interceptor Sewer Project located at San Fernando Boulevard 2110 has required regulatory site cleanup under the regional board due to the presence of volatile organic compounds in both the soil and the groundwater underneath the site. So we began remediating this site with the regional board oversight back since 2011. The California Water Code allows the regional board to recover expenses for overseeing the investigation and cleanup of unregulated discharges adversely affecting state waters. So the State Water Board generates quarterly invoices for LA San to reimburse the regional board for costs and cleanup oversight. Total cost for last fiscal year, 21-22, was about 35,000, and this type of work included a groundwater remedial action plan, public participation plan, and a deed restriction to eventually close off the site. We anticipate possible site closure pending approval of a deed restriction that was submitted earlier this year to the regional board. And this deed restriction basically prohibits groundwater extraction at the site for domestic, potable, and industrial uses. Other activities related to this project that require regional board oversight includes a review of a semi-annual groundwater monitoring report, which we do twice a year, and meetings that we have with the regional board as well and our consultant team. In June of this past year, of several months ago, regional board gave us an annual estimation letter regarding their oversight costs, and this is why we are requesting the 50,000 to pay for the invoices for the upcoming fiscal year. And that concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Eze. Sounds fair. Any questions, colleagues? Vice President Villegas?
Thank you. Just if you can just provide a little bit more context, was this because of a project that was exceeding a regional board's limits for like TMDLs or?
Yes, so basically the site that I mentioned located at 2110 North San Fernando Road, it's basically in Council District 1. This site was formerly owned by a company called Profile Plastics prior to the City of Sanitation purchasing the site. So there are trace amounts of volatile organic compounds. So we're looking at PCE and TCE. We did a lot of site cleanup, soil remediation in the site. However, there's still trace amounts of these volatile organic compounds in the groundwater. And hence why the regional board requires us to do monitoring twice a year. And we have identified a possible contaminant source upstream of the site that continually discharges or that continually possibly continues to the VOC still present on the site as of right now. So right now we submitted a groundwater remedial action plan, which is basically showing how we plan to close off the site eventually and prohibit extraction of groundwater for any other use to protect public health. So due to the regional board overseeing our groundwater remedial action plan, having meetings and giving us the oversight on how we should proceed, we get these quarterly invoices from them and we're required to pay due to the California Water Code.
Okay, and thank you for that answer, appreciate it. With the, monitoring and with other like best management practices that we're doing on the soil and on the land, will we be fined in the future or will we have eradicated?
We wouldn't be fined in the future, being that extensive amount of work has already been done as far as the soil side of things. As far as the concentration of the VOCs currently in the groundwater, they're very low. They're not even exceeding any maximum contaminant levels. So our plan moving forward is to basically just close off the site and just restrict the site from any type of residential, industrial, or any type of use. So as long as we stick to that, the city will face no fines or any legal action.
Okay.
Yes.
So will it remain vacant? It will remain fenced off?
So as of that's a good question. As of right now, there is a construction of a trailer from LSD Division in Sanitation. They are looking to build a trailer on that site to house staff, but that's the only use of the site as of right now. And right now, we have about 8 monitoring wells or so that we monitor twice a year to make sure that concentrations are staying low. But once we get this deed restriction approved by the regional board, we will not have to do any continued monitoring, being that it will basically close off the site for any type of extraction. So as of right now, only a trailer is in the works in terms of being built to house sanitation staff, but that's the only use of the site as of right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
And there isn't any other use for other, nothing else is in mind for that land?
No, nothing else is in mind, just to house staff, LA Sand staff.
Okay.
Yes.
Do you know, sorry, I'll finish my line of questioning in just a bit, but do you know if LA Sand will at least like put a sign up, or will they like do some like landscaping around there so it just doesn't look vacant, even if you guys are gonna have a trailer or something?
So
the
as
public
of
knows?
so as of right now, the site is literally fenced off. You can't even see as far as the actual area when you drive past it. It's pretty much, they do a good job of closing it off. So it's not even like an open area of land. It's pretty much closed off pretty much most of the time. And for when we currently do sampling, we have to coordinate with someone that works in that facility to actually open it up for them to do the sampling. So it's not open to the public at all. It's always closed off for the majority of the time.
Okay.
But as far as a sign goes, I could talk to someone that manages the site to see if they could possibly put something up if it's not there already, just in case.
Okay, will it be used? Well, I guess we can just talk offline. Okay, I appreciate it. Thank you so much. You were really helpful. Thank you.
No problem.
Thank you, Vice President Villegas. Dr. Davis?
Yes, I wanted to, Troy, find out in terms of the motion before us, this is for fees that are due for the whole fiscal year, correct?
Yes.
And in terms of citations that we have received from the regional board, how many have we received overall in terms of this report presenting to us today?
How many citations have we received?
From the regional board? You said that these fees are for citations that we have gotten for the regional board that we need to correct on various sites, which under our jurisdiction, right?
So they're invoices that we've received.
Yes.
These are quarterly invoices that we have to
Yes.
pay for them to provide oversight for our work. So we receive about 4 invoices a year, and these
I see.
invoices typically total around $35,000 or so based on their staff overseeing our work. So every year they
Yes.
send us an annual estimation letter saying we estimate a total of 175 hours of work to oversee work related to this project, and the average rate is $205 per hour. So based on that estimation, they give us a total cost, and then that's why we request a new AE every fiscal year to cover all of this cost, because we're required to pay them for them overseeing our work. So I wouldn't call it fee. So it's basically
I know I'm
invoices,
using the wrong terms, and I appreciate your
So
correction.
we're not fined, but we're just paying their invoices. Yes.
Okay, good. And in terms of this project, how does it work on an annual basis? Is it the same project that we are getting these invoices from them on? Do they regularly review our work annually? Is that correct? In terms of the invoices that we get, we don't get an invoice as everything is okay, correct?
Yeah. So I joined this project about a year ago. From my experience working on this project so far, the main thing that they do is review our semi-annual groundwater monitoring reports. So we do sampling twice a year with Brown and Caldwell, who's our lead consultant on this project. So they have 8 monitoring wells on the site. They typically send out people to the site to monitor the wells, and then based on the contaminants that they see, they put together a comprehensive report, and we submit that report to the regional board, and they review it. And as I mentioned, we have a groundwater remedial action plan, which basically shows us, we provide different alternatives on what we should do with the site moving forward, whether we should treat whether we should do excess treating on the site as far as removing the groundwater, put like treatment facilities to treat what's currently there, whether we should do nothing, which we don't want to do, or whether we should kind of just close off the site in general to prohibit any type of use. So that's what's all collected in the groundwater remedial action plan, which is currently in their review as well, in addition to the deed restriction. And we are going to get that deed restriction approved by the director hopefully soon. So these types of review are typically the majority of what they bill us for as far as invoices. And they actually have a public participation plan as well to alert all the people within a certain radius of the site of the issues that are there, and to show them, pretty much inform them of what we're doing to protect the public and environment. So it's a combination of different things, reviewing reports, putting together a public participation plan, which they're leading, and that's where the invoices come from.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes.
Mhm.
Thank you. Very thorough there. Any other questions for Troy? Hearing none, any objections? Seeing none. Is there a motion on the table to move item number 4 forward and forthwith?
So moved.
Thank you, Dr. Davis. Is there a second?
Second that.
Thank you, VP Villegas. Dr. Campos, there's a first by Dr. Davis and a second by Vice President Villegas to move item number 4 forward and forthwith.
Absolutely. We'll start the voting tabulation now. We'll start with you, President Garcia,
Aye.
Vice President Villegas,
Aye.
President Pro Tem Davis,
Aye.
Commissioner Corzine,
Aye.
and Commissioner Reyes.
Aye.
This motion is adopted and carries unanimous. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Eze, for your time. You were very thorough on today's report and you are good to go now.
Thank you very much. Take care, everybody.
You too. Thank you. Have a good week.
You too.
Okay, moving on to item number 5. This is an oral report from the Bureau of Sanitation for the Clean Water and Safe Clean Water Program update. And who do we have here today? Miss Susie Santinella. I don't think have we met before, Miss Susie?
I don't think we have, President Garcia. It's nice to be here. Nice to meet
good
you.
to meet you. Is this your first time presenting to the board?
I presented a couple of years ago, but very different board back then.
Yeah, yeah, I remember. Okay, well, welcome and excited to hear your report.
Well, thank you so much. Good morning, President Garcia, commissioners, executive officer, city attorney representative, board reps, and city staff. My name is Susie Santillina. I'm an environmental engineer with the Safe Clean Water Implementation Division. I'm joined today by our division manager, Michael Scaduto, and on behalf of our Bureau, LA Sanitation and Environment, and our director and general manager, Barbara Romero, I'm very pleased to present this update on the Safe Clean Water program. You may recall our division gave a previous update on the program, with the most recent one being in April. And this update is going to focus on recent developments and the progress made since then. We can move to the next slide. Before we begin the updates, we think it's important to give some context on the regulatory drivers for the program. A revised stormwater permit was adopted in 2021, which included extensive requirements that give further incentive to prioritize water quality improvement as a key outcome of the Safe Clean Water program. City of Los Angeles is subject to 22 TMDLs, some of which have past due and very near-term TMDL milestones. And the City of Los Angeles is a partner on 6 different watershed management programs and the lead on 3 of those. Over 89,000 acre feet of stormwater capture is required to meet our wet weather compliance. And that amounts to about $7.3 billion in investment across our watersheds. Our sister division, Watershed Protection, is overseeing a number of activities required by the permit and is also prioritizing a few special studies and increased requirements for administrative compliance with the permit, such as the doubling from annual to biannual reporting now required. Moving on to my next slide, and just to give a quick refresher on the Safe Clean Water program, it's funded by Measure W, a county funding measure that passed in November of 2018, with yes votes from over 2/3 of voters, resulting in nearly $300 million coming into the county on an annual basis to fund multi-benefit stormwater capture projects. Half of the funding goes to the competitive regional program, 40% goes back to the jurisdictions where the funding is collected based on their proportion of impermeable area, and 10% goes to the flood control district for support of the regional committees, education programs, and many activities related to the program administration. For the regional program, the city overlaps 3 geographic areas defined by the program called watershed areas, including Upper Los Angeles River, Central Santa Monica Bay, and South Santa Monica Bay. The map on my slide in the right shows the geographic delineation of these areas, and the table below it shows the amount of anticipated annual revenue to these areas. For slide 4, we'll touch on the municipal program. And LA-SAN is responsible for around $35 million in municipal return annually. And note that this is one of the first new funding sources for operation and maintenance of existing projects we've had. Oh wait, I'm seeing hands.
There's no slides.
We're not seeing the slides.
Oh no, okay. Well, let me just check with Dr. Fernando. Am I to,
Susie,
should I present mine?
I think you should be a panelist and you should be able to present.
Oh, great. Okay, give me just a moment. I'm so sorry about that.
Susie, I can go ahead. This is Fernando Campos, Executive Officer. I can go ahead and make you a co-host at this time.
Okay.
And you can, at that point, you can then go ahead and share your screen. You will see a green icon right at the center lower hand of your screen, a green that says share screen. You can click on that. Also just advising you, do not click on the end button. That will terminate the call for everyone. And then also, if you can send us a copy of your presentation so that we can enter it into the record.
Okay, and I did send a copy to TJ Knight earlier, but I'd be happy to send that back again. Give me just a moment.
Thank you so much. If you want to try that, it should work now.
Sure. All right, let's get that. Okay, hold on for just a minute here. Okay, so let me back up a little bit. So I believe we were on this slide. Can you all see my slides now?
I can see it. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. Thank you. And I'll zoom out just a little bit. Okay, perfect. Great. So let's see. So we just recapped a little bit about the program, when it was done, what the drainage area or watershed area delineations are. So moving on, I'll talk a little bit about the municipal program. So I mentioned LA-SAN is responsible for the funding received from this program. And I think a key point about this is that up to 30% of the municipal returns can be budgeted to maintain projects built before the funding measure passed, such as those funded through Prop O. And so this funding is also budgeted to cover staff time for the program, which has a heavy administrative burden, such as annual reporting on the municipal program due in December, quarterly reports on the regional program, and development of feasibility studies and other activities needed to prepare to compete for the regional program. Coming up next fiscal year will be the first rolling 3-year audit. And so we'll keep you posted on that effort for sure. So moving to my next slide. The Safe Clean Water Program is a self-supporting program. This pie chart shows the most recent municipal program budget breakdown. And you can see around 40% goes toward new capital projects in this fiscal year. About 40% goes toward staff costs. 20% goes toward special funds and reimbursing the general fund. And about 10% goes toward O&M. I think it's important to note that O&M's needs are actually much more than that, but it's taking time to develop the contracts necessary to perform all of the O&M needed on our existing projects. So you can expect to see this number grow in future years. Moving to the next slide. The Municipal Program Capital and Technology Improvement Expenditure Program has around 14 projects right now. Most of these are in pre-design, but the 5 low-flow diversions are finishing construction by the end of the year and early next year. And we were successful, I'd like to highlight, in receiving $2.5 million to leverage for these projects. The Ballona Creek TMDL entered its construction phase as of September, and after you approved its bid acceptance. And it's leveraging a portion of the municipal program funding as well. Moving on to updates for the regional program, this ring pie chart shows a recap of the regional scoring criteria, which is really pertinent to getting projects through to the WASCs at the county level. You can see here that water quality benefits get the highest proportion of points. Below it is a breakdown of a typical regional project approval timeline. You can see there's many steps here. We have multiple rounds moving at once too. So the stars here indicate where we currently are for rounds 3, 4, and 5. For round 3, I'll just direct your attention toward the right side of the screen where you see the blue star. We are beginning the process of finalizing transfer agreements now that the Board of Supervisors has approved the SIPs. For round 4, we submitted projects this past July, and they are undergoing scoring by the scoring committee before being sent to the watershed area steering committees for funding consideration. You could see the yellow star there. And then for round 5, we are in the process of selecting projects to begin developing feasibility studies, shown by the green star. This graph shows the amount of money, we'll go here. This graph shows the amount of money city projects, including LADWP projects, were allotted, lumped by the project type and the round received for the first 3 complete rounds so far. You can see that the most funding was put toward capital or infrastructure projects, and rounds 1 and 2 were really successful for us as a city. But round 3, we received much less funding, and we're just finding that the regional program funding is more limited now due to how much was already allocated for those first rounds. And future returns on the regional program will likely continue to be less than the first 2, as so much has already been allocated. The program is very competitive, and additional restrictions, guidance, and tighter scoring requirements have come into play. Moving on to the next one. Oops. All right, this table shows how the money, that same amount of funding for city projects, has been programmed across the years by department or bureau to deliver these multi-benefit projects to the residents of LA. And I'd like to just highlight that already over the course of the program, we've brought in, close to half of what Prop O brought over a 20-year timeline. So that's huge. This next slide highlights one of the big projects moving forward through the program, which is the Ballona Creek TMDL project. It will be one of the first regional program funded projects to break ground. Project completion is set for 2025, and the board approved acceptance of the bid in August. This project will result in many benefits, and one I'd like to highlight is job creation. We're expecting creation of somewhere between 64 and 408 jobs lasting a minimum of 3 years, totaling around 1,200 job years. And a job year is considered a year of work for one person with an annual salary of at least $77,000. And in this case, it could be around 1,200 people working 1 year, 600 people working 2 years, or 400 working 3 years, etc. When talking about implementing the Safe Clean Water program, folks often say it's like building a plane while flying it. And we've learned a lot of lessons as we go, including the need for refinement and certain clarifications of the processes involved at the various level of program governance. In collaboration with the Safe Clean Water Program Working Group and Administrative Oversight Committee, here's a list of a few policies and refinements that are in the works, as well as a few actions we've taken in response to some of the lessons learned. We have the City of LA's Safe Clean Water Program Letters of Support policy coming out soon. It's going to help us, vet and guide the city in providing support to third parties who need it. We're going to have guidance for safe clean water project signage within the city. So we have some consistent public materials associated with our projects. We have the City of Los Angeles's Watershed Investment Strategic Plan, which gives a 5-year safe clean water program outlook of the capital and operation maintenance proposed expenditures, while also making sure there's a fair distribution of program benefits across the city. And LA County Flood Control is embarking on a metrics and monitoring study, which is an effort by the county that our division is involved in as a stakeholder to figure out how to track the effectiveness of the program. We've been having recurring monthly meetings with regional safe clean water project program watershed coordinators, and these have been very beneficial for us to understand what kind of projects are out there from the community that might affect the city. And these coordinators have their pulse on the community, so it's great to interact with them. We've also been focused in prioritizing securing grant and other leveraged funding, both to acquire additional funds to make the program go further, but also to make sure we're taking full credit for the resources we already have been putting into implementing the program, so our projects are more competitive in the regional program. We're also tracking and ensuring that the city gets its fair share of the benefits and investment of the Safe Clean Water program. This is a list of the round 4 applications we submitted this past July, which I mentioned are now at the scoring committee. Although project costs are substantial for a number of these, we're really proud that these applications showed more leveraged funding from the municipal program, PROPO, DWP, along with the community engagement that than projects submitted in prior rounds, which makes them more competitive. This table quantifies some of the community benefits brought by approved and proposed regional applications once constructed, in addition to water quality and water supply, such as heat island effect reduction, recreational opportunities, and greening. We also just wanted to give you a preview on some upcoming items that might come before the board. We're working with our partners at the Bureau of Engineering to implement these projects, and they will be bringing several TOSs forward for your consideration. I also already highlighted that we have construction wrapping up for a few of our low flow diversions late this year and early next year. I'll also give you a heads up that next year when we give our program update, we also plan to report on other aspects of stormwater capture. And that concludes my presentation. Thank you so much for your time. Apologies for the technical issues up front. Michael Scaduto and I are here to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
Thank you, Susie, for that report. No worries on the technical issues. Any questions, colleagues? Hearing none. And okay. Oh, Vice President Villegas.
No questions, just thank you to Bureau of Sanitation for the presentation and for keeping track of the many funds that we're receiving. It's multiple projects all at the same time. It's a lot of coordination. So just thank you for your presentation, Susie, and thank you, Michael, for just being at the helm and leading this effort.
Agreed with Vice President Villegas. Oh, Commissioner Reyes, I think I saw your hand go up.
There's another comment. Thank you so much for the comprehensive report. My question is, are we looking into the Inflation Reduction Act, the IRA, for some funding for infrastructure work that goes in so that we can leverage funding as part of grants or part of allotments to the city of LA when it comes to stormwater capture projects, or looking at how it could complement or supplement our Measure W monies?
Mike, did you want to chime in on that one?
Sure. Good morning, commissioners. Yes, we are being very proactive, and as Susie mentioned, we were able to react very quickly to secure $2.5 million from Property 4 for the current projects that are in construction. That was a last-minute addition to the program. Moving forward, though, we are tracking many of the federal infrastructure programs. One in particular is the BRIC, the Building Resilient Infrastructure Communities. That one is contingent on the city having a local hazard mitigation plan approved. And in checking in with the group that's submitting that has not been submitted or approved. It hasn't been approved yet. And so we're kind of contingent on that approval before we can go after those funds. With respect to the other infrastructure, we're partnering, many of our projects are partnership projects with DWP. And while they may not be infiltration back into the aquifer, we are working with them to find more ways where we can divert more of our urban runoff, and as much as even going above and beyond and doing wet weather runoff, as long as we can do it safely, to be able to get that to the wastewater treatment facilities for irrigation, recycled use. And so we are tracking many of these. Some of them haven't come out with the specific guidelines yet, but we're in a good position and we have a good solid bench of projects that when that information does come out, we'll be in a good position to submit applications.
Thank you. That's something really that we should be more proactive in doing, and also take a look at just one more advice is on the O&M part, because that's always our our concern long term, are the O&M expenses that we have to incur. So probably when we ask for grants, that we include more monies for O&M long term.
Will do. Thank you.
Great. Don't go anywhere, Michael and Susie. It was again my mistake. I didn't call public comment, and we did have a public comment on this item. So, Dr. Williams, are you still here on the line?
Dr. Williams, if you can unmute your microphone at this time. The Board of Public Works is considering item number 5.
5, yes. This is basically, we did the presentation first and then public comment.
Dr. Williams, if you can hear me.
Mm-hmm.
Let me just double check.
Okay.
He does have permission to speak. Dr. Williams, if you can hear me, if you can please unmute your microphone by pressing *6. Let me move forward. It could be him on the 682 line. I'm going to open up the line for caller ending in 682, caller ending in 682. If you can please unmute your microphone. Are you Dr. Williams?
Yes. Okay. Dr. Tom Williams, Citizens Coalition for a Safe Community. A basic problem. Nobody really knows about this program. That's one of the reasons why I wanted to participate in it this morning. The neighborhood councils have some effort going to the low impact development program, which is the only program that generally is known by the public. This program needs to be more out front. Bureau of Engineering keeps things secret, but you need to get a web page and get it circulated. And please, Dr. Campo, send me a copy of all the slides so that I can circulate them to other neighborhood council people so that we can figure out what's going on. Here's a basic problem. Low impact development. Every house could have 400 gallons going to the groundwater every 3/4 inch rain. That is 1,000 square feet produces over 400 gallons of water. However, the city only requires 2 rain barrels of 100 gallons total. So there's some basic concepts of water flow hydrology that are not being accommodated within this program, and the LID program versus the Clean and Safe Water program need to be coordinated and need to be popularized somehow by web page and or other participations with the neighborhood councils. Get it out so that people know what's going on. I know a lot about hydrology. We have gray water system, we have rain collection system, and it works. But we're not really connected that well to the groundwater. So areas where there is groundwater tables and capacity, need to be highlighted to the neighborhood councils to get your program and the LID program coordinated to get the water in the ground. That's all. Thank you. Please send me a copy.
Thank you, Dr. Williams.
That's
And
all.
yes, thank you, Dr. Williams.
Yeah.
We will forward you a copy of the presentation as soon as I receive it. And then we also received your Google comments as well. And those have been entered into the record.
Great. Thank you. The comment I think it was more thorough that way also. Okay, Vice President Villegas, you have your hands up again? Not that it's a thing, it's a matter. I just didn't know if it was again or you had it from before.
Yeah, I just wanted to provide, since we're being recorded and for the public to know that there is, just wanted two things. There is a website for the public to be able to access, and that's safecleanwaterla.org. It's got much information, and it's very useful for community members as well as government folks in government. And then the other piece that I just wanted to comment on, our watershed coordinators work closely with community groups and with the neighborhood councils to figure out possibly new projects, bring those to light and to share those with the appropriate folks. In this case, it would be for the city of Los Angeles, it would be sanitation and the environment. So that's currently taking place. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice President Villegas. Very good on giving us that information. I thank you again. And also, Michael, thank you for being at the forefront of all of these issues. You do have a very intense and high profile portfolio right now. And you've been doing such a great job all this time. So proud of you, Michael. And also Susie for doing all that work around with your team. Very good for both of you. All right, colleagues, any other questions? Hearing none. Item number 5 is now complete. Thank you, Mr. Michael, and thank you, Susie, for your time this morning. You guys were very good about answering our questions, and look forward to continuing this very intense work that you guys are all doing out there. Have a good rest of the day. Dr. Campos, that is the item number 5. Have we cleared today's desk?
Yes, you have.
Great. Having said that, it is now 11:02 on Wednesday, October 19, 2022. Today's meeting is now officially adjourned. Thank you, everyone. Have a good rest of the week and see you all Friday.